this is Eric Lofholm. I want to welcome all of you to my weekly radio show called Continuous Sales Improvement. And today I am joined by a very special guest, my sales coach and mentor, Dr. Donald Moine. Dr. Moine has been helping people like myself achieve sales greatness now for multiple decades. He's the author of numerous books, including Unlimited Selling Power and Modern Persuasion Strategies, the first NLP-based sales book ever written. Dr. Moine, great to have you on the show today.
It's great to be here, Eric. Thank you, all of you around the world, for being here today, taking time out of your day. Eric and I are going to make it worth your while. We've got a very exciting show lined up. So let's get started, Eric.
So I wanted to focus today on sales breakthroughs. And you've helped many people like myself go from where I was to where I am today, many others as well. And I wanted to talk about breakthroughs in the context of a blueprint. You know, what are some of the patterns, some of the traits that you see in sales superstars? And I put together a number of questions, and I wanted to just toss the first one out to you in this context. What do you see as one thing that you've observed in people becoming sales superstars? What's something that people watching this right now could emulate, could model if they themselves want to become a sales champion or a sales superstar?
Wow, that is such a great question, Eric. Folks, I had no idea what questions Eric was going to ask me on this call. Normally we do more rehearsing, but Eric has been super, super busy. I've been super busy. Achieving breakthroughs. I want to share a couple of ideas. One of them is incredible flexibility. Average salespeople are kind of rigid. They're trained by the company in a certain way, the company way, which is good. It's a good place to start. But what I have found in spending time with, studying, and working with some of the world's greatest salespeople, like Ben Feldman, who for more than 30 years was the world's greatest life insurance salesman. Out of over 1 million people with life insurance licenses for 30 years, he was number one. He responded to the individual client. People are very different. And sales formulas have their place. You know, a lot of sales systems are based on the 6-step process for sales improvement, or the 9 steps to sales success. And you're taught that if you skip one step, you've got to go back, make sure you hit that step or you won't make the sale. But what I found with top salespeople, think about it in your own. You've been really hot when no one can turn you down. You kind of tap into the wisdom of your subconscious mind based on your years of experience, if you have those years of experience. And you can skip steps sometime. But the key thing, folks, is you have to really read your client, read your customer, and respond to what they most need at that moment in time. A couple more things to write down, a couple more points. Trust building is ultra important. I have a saying, no trust equals no sale. I don't care how great your products are. I don't care how great your services are. You can beat your chest all day. We're number one. We've got the greatest computer. We have the greatest whatever you're selling. Sales training, the greatest coaching program. But until they trust you, they're not going to hear that message. They're going to have up what I call the buyer shield of resistance, where they have their arms folded across their chest, and they're kind of, whether they do or whether they have their arms physically folded or not, they have that mental attitude of resistance. And so building trust, building rapport up front, showing commonality, because the truth is we trust and like people like ourselves. We just had a whole bunch of holidays here. We had Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, we had Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's Eve. We're going to have Super Bowl Sunday. And who do you like to get together with? You like to get together with people like yourself, who can make you more comfortable than friends and family. So you want to show the sides of yourself that are easiest for them to relate to and be flexible. That's another lesson. Let's take a 1 second to look at lessons from 2020. I've been thinking a lot about this. What did we learn? Be flexible. One of the words I never used to hear, but I heard a lot last year. I'm sure you did too, Eric. We used it. Pivot. You got
Yep.
to pivot, right? And personally, I've gotten a little bit tired of it, but I think it's going to be around for a while. But folks, we're going to have to continue to pivot in 2021. I've been hanging out a lot on LinkedIn. I only joined in August, and I've been there 5 months, and I've got over 1,700 connections. I've met some amazing people. Some of you on this call I've met, and so if you're not connected with me or Eric, I know you're connected with Eric, or you wouldn't be here, but you can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Donald Moine. Eric and I promise you, over the next year, we're going to be sharing some amazing, amazing, amazing content with you and some breakthrough ideas. So
Let's jump in, Dr. Moine, and talk about scripting for a second, because I know that this is something that's made such a huge difference for me. And maybe you could just share a little bit about how did you discover the power of sales scripting, and what are some things that our listeners right now can learn from what you discovered about scripting?
scripting, when I started to study sales superstars, and folks, I wrote the first ever PhD doctoral dissertation on sales champions. These people who sell 5 times more, 10 times more than other salespeople selling the same product at the same price, or the same service at the same price. How can they do that? In some cases, like Ben Feldman, they would sell 50 times more. I studied Joe Girard, who sold more cars than any other salesperson in the world. And I found they took notes. They had little pieces of paper. This is a little piece of paper here that I have some notes on. And they would, if they came up with a great sales idea, a great thing to say to someone, they know that human memory is fallible. You forget things. Eric's really smart. He forgets things. I'm pretty smart. I might think of something brilliant to say to a client or a prospect. If you don't write it down, you're going to lose it. And I noticed that sales superstars sometimes collected these things. They had little notebooks of the best ways of handling certain objections, the best ways of presenting benefits, the best way of opening the sales call. And these are scripts. It's funny, on LinkedIn, I found people saying things like, don't use scripts. It's terrible to use scripts. They're phony. They're inauthentic. The very fact that they say that is a script, because a script is simply an organized collection of words. The only alternative to scripting is what's called glossolalia, which means a disconnected random set of words like up, down, curtains, carpet, glass of water, chandelier. It's nonsense. We don't speak that way. So whether you are writing it down and organizing it, or just relying on your memory or how you feel, your subconscious mind is coming up with a script. So my point is, why not use the best words you can use? Why not do what all professionals prepare? Why not do what the best athletes do, the best doctors do, what all professionals do, and spend a little bit more time preparing? And so I decided to turn scripting into a science, and I started writing about this, how to turn scripting into a science and how to organize your scripts. And I actually, since I haven't done one of these video calls in this new year, I'll just show you guys. I've got a whole library here of these script books. This is an older one I did for a major bank, but you can see how comprehensive this is. Let me see how I can get this set up here, but there's all these index tabs. You don't have to do a script book like this, folks. I'm not trying to intimidate you, but we have sections based on every single objection someone is likely to hear in selling mortgages. And I did this for a big bank in California. And I studied their superstars. These are people that sell more mortgages than anyone else. If you accidentally walk into a bank and you think it's a post office, there's a 50% chance that you're going to walk out with a mortgage if you talk to one of these mortgage superstars. I mean, they're just so persuasive. And I captured their genius and boiled it down in this book. And we taught it to average salespeople and broke all kinds of sales records. They attributed that to $1.8 billion in new mortgages beyond all of their projections. And I'm not saying that to brag or impress you, because it's called expert modeling, folks. It means find the people that are the very best at doing what they do and build a model of it. And then you will have the greatest chance you could ever have, the greatest opportunity you could ever have to duplicate that. Eric and I have done that. We're doing that with our current clients. I've got a whole library of these script books. I've memorized thousands and thousands of scripts. So Eric and I are doing a mastermind together. And in the mastermind, we have about a dozen people from around the world in the mastermind group, just hit us with their toughest objections. And Eric and I, because of our vast experience, we can help them come up with these incredibly powerful responses. And they're not phony responses, folks. They're sincere, from the heart responses to help people find the right product, get connected to the right products and services. So that's just a little bit of a taste of the science of sales scripting. I want to share one last idea and turn it back to Eric. Write this down, folks, in big 3-inch high letters in your notes. Make your scripts invisible. Make them disappear. Make them disappear. Scripts are used by all of the most persuasive people in the world, by our religious leaders, by our politicians. The Pope uses scripts when he speaks in 7 languages to people around the world. And when you are with someone who is effectively using a script, you don't know they're using a script. All you know is this person understands me. This makes sense to me. I like what I like what I'm hearing. I love what I'm hearing. I want to hear more. I want to do business with this person. I found the right person to help me. That's all they know. The script is completely invisible. Think about some of your favorite films, your favorite actors or actresses, Robert De Niro, Meryl Streep, whoever it is. When they are using a script, you're just totally, you are totally caught up in the movie. You don't realize they're using a script. Eric?
Kim, do you need to take a quick break? Okay. We'll be right back. So I think your screen. I wanted to just piggyback on what Dr. Moine was just sharing there about sales scripting. When I got started in sales, many of you know, if you're familiar with my story, that I was the bottom producer at the company that I worked at, was put on quota probation and told I had one more month to hit my quota or I would be let go. And this was when I was introduced to Dr. Moine's ideas and the concept of sales scripting. And it was a foreign concept to me. Prepare your presentation in advance, write down what you're going to say word for word. Now, in the delivery of the script, we don't want you to be robotic. We don't want you to sound canned or rehearsed. We want you to be authentic, but it's about practicing perfect. And what we're talking about today are blueprints to create a breakthrough. And sales scripting is one of these not all that often talked about subjects that can take you from, in my case, a bottom producer to a top producer. And it happened for me within 60 days. And so if you're watching this right now, if you're wanting to strive for greatness, you're wanting to go to a whole new level of success. Here we are at the very beginning of the year. It's 2021. This is our first show in January. And you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I want to go to my next level. Well, in order for you to go to your next level, one of those ways to do that is scripting. All right. And Dr. Moine, what I want to talk about next is something that you mentioned to me on one of our calls recently, and it has to do with a top producer's mindset of really being hungry for success. And I don't remember if that was the exact language that you used, but it's kind of like they just want it at a very deep level. Could you just speak to that mindset of that sales champion that I would call it striving for greatness? Could you just talk to that from your viewpoint?
Yeah, that is a great question, Eric. And this goes to the personal traits of not just highly successful salespeople, but the really successful financial planners. I've done a lot of work. I've worked on Wall Street. I'm working today with financial advisors, with superstar insurance agents. It's a trait of a highly, highly successful life coaches. Eric and I are working with life coaches around the world. And there's several different forms. I first wrote about it in a cover story in Psychology Today in the 1980s. I had the only cover story in the history of Psychology Today on sales superstars. And at that time, I wrote about it as money hunger. I wrote about it as money hunger. And I talked about the fire in the belly of sales champions. And people like Ben Feldman, who was a very wealthy guy, he kept working super hard. He kept breaking sales records, selling life insurance, even though he didn't need the money. He gave away millions of dollars to charities. But he had that inner drive. And from just spending thousands and thousands of hours, I've spent thousands of hours working with salespeople, financial planners, hedge funds, brokerage firms, real estate agents, and others. I found that, salespeople are wonderful people. I love hanging out with them. I can't wait for parties to come back. They're just wonderful, wonderful people. But a lot of them actually get contented. They hit 120,000 a year, 150,000 a year, and it's enough. And they ease up. And then later, maybe 10 years goes by, zippity zip, and they wonder, why didn't I achieve more? It was within my reach. It was within my grasp. And they're so frustrated. And it's at a certain point, it's not a lack of technical knowledge. It's not that your products are lacking, or your services are not good enough, but it's that people don't tap into that inner drive, the fire in their belly, the fire in their gut. And this is both an inner thing and an outer thing. Some people go to motivational speakers, and I'm a great advocate of motivational speakers. I'm the world's biggest fan of Les Brown and Tony Robbins. But folks, I have to tell you this honestly, at a certain point, it turns into an internal job. I've had people that I actually had one client, this was only one client, who told me he spends the first 3 hours of every day listening to and watching motivational speakers. And it was one of the toughest things I did. And I had to break him of that habit. Not that it's bad to do that, but I said, think of how much more successful you could be if you did that for 10 or 15 minutes and then you got to selling. And I had to rewire his mindset. And actually, the key to success for him, as mind-blowing as this is, was to spend less time listening to motivational speakers to get motivated. So, I could talk about this for a long time, but I want to say one final point. I want to share one final thing with you guys. Everyone nowadays is talking about mindsets, which, I've been writing about for many, many years, decades, and Eric and I have done entire courses on mindsets. Folks, it's more than mindsets, because people think mindsets, it's just in my mind. I need to have more positive thinking. I need more PMA, positive mental attitude. Folks, it has to do, when you really get into mindsets, this is mind-blowing. It has to do with your perception of reality. What information do you take in? What filters do you have? That affects your mindset. You have to remove the filters. And that can be scary for a lot of people. That can be really scary. And then it comes to how you process the information, because we all have biases. We all have, and I don't mean racial biases or racial prejudices. That exists also, but I'm talking about just biases about thoughts, about what we think is possible, what we think is impossible, what we think is the true us. Oh, I can't do that. That's not the true me. I can't sell that. I call these mental handcuffs, and there are techniques for getting rid of those. There's certain behavioral outputs. We think, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. That's not me. Other people can do that, but I can't do that. So we limit ourselves on our behavioral outputs. And the final piece I want to share with you here, the final golden nugget, you have to put together mindsets with emotional sets. Folks, it's not just your mind. There's this incredibly powerful connection between the mind and human emotions. A lot of thoughts are heavily laden with emotions, with negative emotions and positive emotions. Maybe, Eric, we could do a whole, later in the year or next year, do a whole special radio show on that connection and how to rewire them together, because people who think, oh, I just have to change my thoughts and do some visualizations or do some quick affirmations, that's not enough to rewire it. You've got to simultaneously work on the emotional level. And the first thing you brought up, Eric, was breakthroughs. This is one of the keys to having breakthroughs, is when you take a more comprehensive approach rather than the approach I call Band-Aids over bullet holes, where people say, "Ooh, this is not working in my life. I've got a bullet hole. I've got a bullet hole in my arm. This is not working in my business," and they put a Band-Aid over it, and they think that's going to fix it. Folks, if it was that easy, everyone would be a multimillionaire. Take some more comprehensive approach. So I don't want to discourage you. I want to encourage you, and I want to let you know there's solutions out there, but it's a little more comprehensive. And that makes it exciting than you might think. Eric?
Fantastic, Dr. Moine. Before I get into the next question here, my experience when I met you back in the early 1990s, prior to meeting you, the thought had never dawned on me to strive to become a top producer. I was just working a sales job. I was just showing up every day and doing my job. And something clicked when I was introduced to your ideas, your strategies. And I said, you know what? I can do it. I can strive for greatness. And maybe somebody watching this right now, maybe it's never dawned on you like it hadn't dawned on me when I first got started in sales to strive for greatness. And maybe you are a future sales superstar. You just never thought of it before. And maybe today it'll open up your thinking to that. I do want you to talk, Dr. Moine, about how people can connect with you on LinkedIn, because I know a lot of people would love to connect with you. And I also would like you to talk about the importance of action and your thoughts regarding the idea of ready, fire, aim.
Okay, great. Well, folks, it's very easy to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I want to say that Eric and I have also an exciting private group, which is open to all of you on LinkedIn. It's called Continuous Sales Improvement. Write that down, Continuous Sales Improvement. That's the name of Eric's new book that's going to be out in a few weeks. It's going to be a bestseller. And that's our group on LinkedIn, which where we're going to be sharing some really very powerful breakthrough ideas. And so my name is Dr. Donald Moine. You can connect with me, and you don't have to call me doctor. You can just call me Donald. And Eric, I didn't tell you this, but I'm going to be doing some wild things on LinkedIn. I talked briefly early in this radio interview about how you have to innovate. People called it pivoting last year, and disruption. People say, well, I'm going to be a disruptor like Tesla or like Airbnb. I'm going to break the model. I prefer I think disruptor is a little bit of a negative term. I like the word innovate, but I'm going to do some wild things. I hope I don't get kicked off LinkedIn, but you've got to experiment. And I've got a sort of a youthful spirit in me. I'm getting a little older physically. Physically I look different, but inside I frequently wake up feeling like I'm 16 or 20. I've got a little bit of that rebel in me that, a few of those traits. So I want to encourage you guys to innovate also. Well, let's have some fun with LinkedIn. And so you're going to see some new things there. I look forward to connecting with you. I've just met some wonderful, wonderful people from around the world. I had a connection this morning. I don't know how these people find me from South Korea. I had a couple connections from Africa over the weekend. So I value each and every one of you. We're building a tribe, we're building a community, and look forward to getting to meet you.
So talk about Ready, Fire, Aim.
Ready, Fire, Aim. Yes. This is not my concept. I believe it's from In Search of Excellence, but I'm a great, great believer in it. I'm a believer in doing preparation before a sales call. I find many people take the amateur's approach, and they just say, well, I'm going to go into this important sales meeting and I'm going to wing it. Or I'm going to go into this important Zoom call with a prospect and I'm going to just do the best I can do and hope and pray that it works out. On the other hand, there are some people who over-prepare, and they over-prepare, putting together proposals and doing this. And I have a client right now who's putting together, for the last 2 years, he's been putting together the perfect website and the perfect social media platform and perfect videos. And I think so far he's produced 2 videos, and none of the rest of the stuff has ever been finished. He's a brilliant, brilliant person. And Eric and I, by contrast, we have a guy who's an example of Ready, Fire, Aim. This is a brand new coach. He started coaching in August. He went from zero income from coaching. He has no website. He has nothing. And he, in this first month, because he took massive action this is a guy who'd been a client of mine in the insurance field for 18 years. And I introduced him to Eric, and Eric started working with him, and I'm working with him. In the first month, ladies and gentlemen, as a coach, this is unheard of. He had $30,000 in income. The second month, which was September, he got it up to about $60,000. He's averaging $60,000 a month as a brand new coach because he's taking massive action. He didn't over prepare. So instead of getting ready, aiming, preparing, and then firing, taking action, what he did is he got ready. He did a couple of the things that Eric and I said you need to do. He took massive action. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn and I'll tell you what he did. And he just started shooting in a positive way and connecting up with clients booking client calls. He can't even take credit cards. This is mind blowing. He can't take credit cards. And so when people he connect with him and he tells them what he does, they say, well, how can I pay you? And by the way, he charges a lot. He's a brand new coach, but he charges premium rates. He says, I want you to overnight me a check. Well, I want to pay by credit card. I don't take credit cards. Overnight me a check. And you know what they do? If they don't send him a check, he doesn't work with them. But he collected 30,000 the first month, 60,000 the second month. And I want to share a gem with you here. Here's one of the things he did. He didn't have a list of prospects. Some of you are waiting until you get all kinds of prospects to start seriously marketing. You want to build your mailing list to X or your LinkedIn connections to a certain number. He went out and purchased a list of a bunch of insurance agents because he had been very successful in insurance. He thought, I'll coach insurance agents. So he purchased tens of thousands of email addresses. And he had never done a webinar in his life. Eric and I coached him how to do a webinar. So he started emailing these people. I'm going to be doing a webinar on how to become massively successful in insurance. And it worked. He started booking a bunch of people for webinars, and I'm doing webinars with him now. So that's one secret at how to succeed. If you don't want to take years building a list, just rent the list. They're cheap. And Eric and I can help you find killer lists. So that's just a taste of the power, the incredible transformative power of ready, fire, aim.
Yeah, that's a huge nugget right there. I know a lot of people that are watching this right now. You're in that ready, aim, and then nothing happens. And so massive action is a very powerful strategy. What I want to do, Dr. Moine, is I would like to ask you a few rapid fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
Have to answer in 1 minute or less. Are you?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm in a sales slump. If I'm in a sales slump, what's 1, 2, 3 things I can do to get out of a sales slump?
Okay. Look back to a time when you were hot. You were on fire, when no one could turn you down. Think of everything you did. What were the foods you ate? What time did you go to bed at night? What time did you wake up in the morning? What music did you listen to? The clothing you wore. This is what I call your recipe for success. If you go back to that time when you were a super salesman, a super saleswoman, you can recapture your greatness. We've all had moments of greatness in our lives. And take the time, folks, to write that down. Really think about it. When you duplicate all the conditions that enabled you to show your genius, to share your genius with the world, you can duplicate that and redo it today.
Awesome. Okay, next one. I'm not good at prospecting. That's my mindset. Mm-hmm. I know I need to prospect. What should I do?
Just invert your thinking. Turn it inside out. And tell yourself, I am great at prospecting. I love to prospect. Think of prospects who loved you, who said to you, I was waiting to meet someone like you. I was waiting to meet someone who's an expert in this. So instead of thinking back to people who might have rejected you, and some people say, oh, gee, that I'd be lying to myself if I said I'm a great prospector. No, folks, you're just telling the truth in advance. You're going to become a great prospector. So tell the truth in advance. And the final thing is, since I only have 1 minute, you can find answers to almost everything on the internet. So do a Google search for best techniques of prospecting, and you're going to find probably 10 million results. Study those, put them into practice. You don't have to read all of them, of course, but just take 3. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just read some articles, extract 3 of the best ideas. Just do 3 things differently tomorrow. And then the next day, do 2 things differently. Add this to your repertoire. And the next day, so now you've got 5 things, new things. And next day, add one more thing. And the key thing, folks, is not just to read it, not just to listen to me and Eric, but to take notes and to practice. The way we really have breakthroughs and get great at things, achieve greatness, is to implement what we've learned. It's not enough to passively listen or watch. That's another form of taking action, is to implement. You can't just watch Tiger Woods hit a golf ball. You've got to hold, the club in your hand. You've got to take 10,000 swings. So implement, implement, implement. And one final thing, this is super, super important, nobody ever talks about, is enjoy the process. Enjoy the ride. And that's what's going to keep you at it. I just love what I do. Eric loves what he does. I can't wait to get up in the morning, share some new ideas, learn some new ideas, share things that are working for my clients with my other clients, with new financial planners, with new life coaches, with the other people I'm helping and working with, a hedge fund manager. It keeps you youthful. It keeps you high energy. So, life is meant to be enjoyed. So enjoy the process, enjoy the ride.
Fantastic. I've got one more one more question before I get into that. Last year, Dr. Moine and I put together a mindset course, and we offered it for free, and we recorded it. So if any of you would like a copy of a free course we did last year, you can just send me an email, eric@ericlofholm.com, or find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Send me a direct message and just say, I watched that interview that you did with Dr. Moine, and I'd like to get that free mindset course that you guys did last year, the replay of it. Even though we did it for free, it was a give back to help people that suffered from all the setbacks of coronavirus. Very content rich, and I think that you guys will love it. So one more minute on my last question. So you and I, we collaborate together. There's things that we do to help support each other. Can you talk about collaboration as a strategy? Maybe there's some people watching right now, they've never done collaboration before. And can you just speak to that as a strategy to grow a business?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, Eric. I was not expecting that, but it's probably one of the greatest growth strategies and breakthrough strategies of all. You should not strive to be a lone wolf. You should not strive to reinvent the wheel. And many people end up doing that. I've written a lot of books, and most of them have been with co-authors. I wrote Unlimited Selling Power, which Eric mentioned, with Dr. Ken Lloyd. I wrote another book with him. I've written some articles with people on LinkedIn. I've written over 500 articles. Some of them have been with other people. With collaboration, you get to tap into your genius, into the other person's genius, and they can pull things out of you. Eric and I do something that almost no other coaches in the world do. Well-known, famous, world-class coaches. We actually co-coach some of our clients. So they get not just me, they get me and Eric on one call. And some of our clients have just had amazing breakthroughs. One of our clients this year, a guy named Mike, who's raising money for a small high-tech company, he had his best year ever. He made $600,000 in the year of coronavirus. And his company is so happy with what he did, ladies and gentlemen, that they gave him a bunch of stock, and they're scheduled to go public this next year. And Mike told us at the end of November that he could make $50 million from this stock. It's absolutely mind-boggling what you can do with collaboration, with Eric and I helping him together. So I know from my own personal experience, this is not something that I just prescribe to other people, but I know from my personal experience, the great things I've been able to achieve. I did a big tour of Australia several times, speaking tours, hitting all the major cities, big speaking venues with thousands of people. It's because I had a partner in Australia that enabled me to do this. And I've been privileged to be able to help people like some of you on this call today. So look for people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great place to meet them. and look for people in your life who you can collaborate with, do webinars with, write articles with, do podcasts with. It's, we are a gift to one another, and we should use one another in the most positive ways possible to have the biggest impact. There's so much that's needed in this world. So much needs to change. We have so much healing to do this year, so much growth. It's going to be a renaissance year, with the vaccines rolling out. Eric and I are very excited. So I just want to encourage you to look for, put down those dating apps, and instead of swiping on the dating apps, and start swiping for some business connections that you can not just sell to, but collaborate with, because ultimately that can lead to even bigger payoffs than the sales. So you want to do both of those, but most people don't do enough collaboration. There's a lot of folks doing a lot of selling, but collaboration is it's just one of the most exciting strategies you can use to grow your business and to grow as a person.
Fantastic. Well, those are some great ideas, Dr. Moine. And for all of you watching, I love sharing my mentor with all of you. I love providing Dr. Moine a platform so he can help even more people. I want to encourage all of you watching, find a mentor, find somebody who takes an interest in you, that believes in you. It's been one of the greatest things I've ever done is seeking out mentors. And Dr. Moine has been my main sales mentor now since the early 1990s. So thank you guys all for watching, tuning into the show. This show happens every Monday at noon Pacific time right here in the Facebook group. And then we also put the replay up on YouTube. So we'll be back again next week with another great show. And Dr. Moine, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and for being such a great guest today and for being my mentor.
Thank you, Eric, for putting together this fantastic show. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to meeting you on LinkedIn. And most of all, I'm wishing you an incredible, fantastic, enriching, rewarding breakthrough 2021.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.